Hi there everyone, your Power Al here with another vlog. So I'm pretty tired because my gym just started their volleyball league. So in addition to the two leagues that I am doing with my local volleyball club, I am now in a third league. And depending on the week, I might be playing 3 days a week or 4 days a week. So that's pretty exhausting, but that's not what I want to talk about. Earlier today, Nintendo had their direct where they talked about the Switch 2. So yeah, these are my thoughts on the April 2025 Nintendo Switch 2 direct. So I didn't get to watch this live. I was watching, don't tell my job this, but I was watching a little bit at work. So on my break. So yeah, I was able to watch some of that then, and I ended up finishing the direct after before I went to go play volleyball. So I wrote down basically the the key points of that direct, and I want to talk about that. Uh, I'm going to be going from the Switch 2 then to games, just because I think that'd be more concise. But they did reveal that, of course, the Switch 2 is bigger, has a bigger screen. The Joy-Cons, which they are calling the Joy-Cons 2, are magnetic. And, I mean, that seems interesting. I don't know how strong the magnets are going to be, but I am interested in seeing it for myself. Um, it's cool, at the very least, and the Joy-Cons also have mouse support, so you could use them as a mouse if the game supports it, and that's pretty cool. One thing that could lead to is some PC exclusives being ported over to the Switch 2, just because a lot of PC games use a mouse, and I don't know like how good the mouse is going to be, but that is still pretty cool. And there are some Switch 2 games that will be supporting that feature, of course. And I'm really interested to see how something like Pokemon could make use of that. It could be interesting if there are like mini games or whatever, or if you could just navigate the UI that way. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of things like that. Um, let's see. When you're playing the Switch 2 in handheld, it will be able to run at 1080p, 120 frames a second, which is pretty impressive. And handheld also supports HDR, so I like that. I like that a lot. It would be nicer though if the Switch 2 had an OLED screen right off the bat instead of most likely releasing an OLED model later on. I really like the Switch OLED that I have, and going back to a Switch afterwards, the difference is pretty night and day. So trying to imagine that with the Switch 2, it would look really, really nice. And then when the Switch 2 is docked, it can go up to 4K 60, which is pretty impressive. And this just puts me in a bit of a rough spot because the TV in my room is pretty old. It can only go up to 1080p, so I do need to invest in a newer TV, which I was thinking of doing anyways. But this is gonna definitely push me to do it sooner than I originally thought. Uh, there is a chat feature on the Switch 2. One of the Joy-Cons has a C button, and on that it activates, I guess, the Switch 2's equivalent of Discord. Like you could talk to I think three other people. You could see what they're playing. You could connect this accessory called the Switch 2 camera or something. It's a webcam. The Switch 2 also has a mic on it. So the mic actually has some form of noise cancellation that like reduces background noise, which is pretty interesting. But yeah, you'll be able to see like what other people are playing, even if they're not playing the same game as you, like in multiplayer or whatever. Like you could see them playing Xenoblade Chronicles while you're playing Pokemon, using the games I like, of course, for examples. Or you could see the person, if you have the webcam accessory, you could see them overlaid onto the game in some fashion, and there are going to be some games that make use of that as well. Pretty cool. I don't know how much I'm going to be using that particular feature because Discord exists, but I mean, I could do that with Jamie and Rob whenever the next like Pokemon game comes out, because we're all going to be getting that at launch. Um, the dock has fans. That's another thing. So that's pretty cool to help just keep the system cool. I thought that was interesting. It would have been nice if the original Switch had that in their dock, but no. In terms of storage, the Switch 2 will take micro SD Express, so not regular SD cards, but like, yeah. So there's that, and it has 256 gigs, I believe, which is much more than the Switch has on board. So, like that improvement, especially for people that only have digital games. I mean, if you're someone that plays games only digitally, then you're most likely going to be upgrading the storage with or SD Express. So, yeah, I think my Switch has run out of space on it. On it, not counting my micro SD card. So, yeah. Uh, so moving on to some details when it comes to playing games. Of course, you'll be able to play games or Switch games rather, and then there is going to be an update for some Switch games where you will be able to play them at a higher resolution, higher frame rate, and some you could also have some games end up supporting some new features. One example that they used was Mario Party Jamboree. Like there will be new mini games that support like the mouse controls or like the webcam controls, which is very interesting. Breath of the Wild is also another example where there's going to be a companion app for like Breath of the Wild or and Tears of the Kingdom. So like with the mobile app that I guess will be usable with the update, you can save creations you make in Tears of the Kingdom and send them to other people that way. Scarlet and Violet are also going to be getting the update treatment. I don't know. I think some of the updates you would have to pay for, and I think some of them would be free. I don't exactly remember. Pokemon Legends ZA is also getting the update treatment. So, yeah. I am desperately hoping that all of the Xenoblade Chronicles games on the Switch 2 will get that treatment as well, because it would be so incredible to play them at 4K 60, looking so nice, running better. Gosh, that'd be so cool. I like how one of the examples they used was showing Breath of the Wild footage of Link in Korok Forest, because that place notably has performance issues on the Switch. And also when they were showing off like the game chat footage, like with sharing like what you're playing with other people, they did show that the games will stutter sometimes. I guess depending on your internet connection and like the Switch 2 itself. So I'm glad that they showed that to show that it will not be perfect. But yeah, in terms of some games that they revealed, the first thing that they opened up with was showing the new Mario Kart game, Mario Kart World. It's basically an open world Mario Kart game, which is very cool, coming out the same day as the Switch 2, which is June 5th. So that's neat. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond is getting a simultaneous release on Switch and Switch 2. And they'll just run better on the Switch 2 just in general. So, yeah, pretty nice to look forward to that. Some other notable games. Oh, Nintendo Switch Online is going to be adding the GameCube for Switch 2 if you have the expansion pass for it. And one of the titles that they showed, or a few of the titles actually, Wind Waker, Pokemon Colosseum, and Pokemon XD. Those are huge. those are really good games. And I love Pokemon XD a lot. They showed off a new Hyrule Warriors games, which takes place during the Imprisoning War from Tears of the Kingdom, in the backstory of that game. Not the Imprisoning War from Link to the Past's backstory, but oh well. Some other games. Bravely Default is getting a remaster. Excellent RPG on the 3DS. I still need to play Bravely Second. Yakuza 0. I'm interested in that. Elden Ring, also interested in that. I'm trying to think of some other notable games. Kirby Star Riders or Air Riders, Air thing. New Kirby game, basically. Rob was very excited for that. And then Donkey Kong Bonanza was the very last game they showed, which is a 3D platformer Donkey Kong game. Pretty nice. Pretty nice. Yeah. Honestly, pretty solid direct. They showed off a lot. They went in depth with the Switch. There's like some like they're passing off basically the instruction guide for the Switch 2 as a game that you pay for, which is a very weird decision. Don't know how I feel about that. And they didn't say the price in the direct, but apparently the Switch 2 by itself is going to be $449.99, and then the bundle that comes with Mario Kart World is going to be $499.99. The price is definitely much higher than the Switch and the Switch OLED, but I mean, I would say that would probably be a fair price. I mean, just things are getting more expensive nowadays. I don't remember what they said the price for games were gonna be. I think it was either $70 or $80. I don't remember, but yeah. June 5th. You know, I was on the fence about getting a Switch 2 on launch, but I think this direct did push me to getting one. It's very nice. I mean, it's quite the upgrade from the Switch. That much is apparent, and the new features do interest me. Like, the game chat could be fun, maybe, but like the mouse controls, I'm really interested in. So, yeah. Overall, solid choice for this direct to be 60 hours of just showing a ton of stuff. That's 2 months from now. 2 months. Wow. Anyways, talk about the Switch 2. If you have anything that you're looking forward to that could be in the Switch 2, feel free to talk about that. I was hoping for Street Pass. Street Pass would have been fun, but oh well. I'm very interested to see a potential new Xenoblade Chronicles game in the future on the Switch 2. Of course, I would like to see the other Xenoblade Chronicles games get upgraded for the Switch 2 as well. But new Pokemon game would probably be really fun on it. I don't know. It's just, I think Nintendo has another hit coming up, depending on how well the Switch 2 does. I see a lot of people already hyped for it, and I don't think it's going to be another Wii U situation. I do like the Wii U, but at this point now, there is very little reason to own one. Anyways, yeah, Switch 2 good. Very excited for it to come out. And I also have to get a new TV. Anyways, that's going to be the end of it. Thank you all so much for watching. And see you next time for another vlog. Later.